Hello and welcome to Press TV News Analysis. I'm Kavit Hafai. Press TV has become a target of Britain's communications regulator, Office of Communications, Ofcom. The British government-approved media regulator has fined Press TV £100,000 over what it calls breaching its broadcasting rules. The decision comes after earlier threats of shutting down the channel and previous statements that any financial penalties would be suspended. In this news analysis, we will examine Ofcom's decision and the reasons that could be behind it.
Britain's government-approved media watchdog Ofcom accuses Press TV of breaching its broadcasting code on treatment of interviewees by airing a 10-second soundbite of Iranian journalist Maziar Bahari in July 2009. In the footage, Bahari says he sent a report about an attack on a military base of Iran's Basij force in Tehran to UK's Channel 4 News and American weekly Newsweek. Bahari later verified the statement in numerous interviews with Western media. Press TV has since presented detailed explanations to Ofcom regarding the case. However, Ofcom's Broadcasting Sanctions Committee insists on penalising Press TV, contradicting its earlier decision to suspend the sanctions. The media watchdog has also forced Press TV to broadcast its findings, despite earlier announcement that it would not do so. Meanwhile, Ofcom has threatened to shut down Press TV's offices in the UK, citing administrative issues in the channel's 2007 licence application. Ofcom's officials have declined Press TV's offer to explain to the public in a live talk show about the reason behind their controversial decision.
On this occasion, I am going to decline the offer. I am also afraid that there are no other Ofcom colleagues who are available to appear on the program. As you will know, we have set out clearly the reasoning behind the sanction.
Independent media experts say Ofcom has been under increasing pressure from the UK government and the royal family to restrict Iran's English news channels. A US embassy cable disclosed by the whistleblower website WikiLeaks revealed the collusion of the Foreign Office and the US Embassy in London to limit Press TV's activities. The aggressive stance comes as no surprise, considering the channel's extensive coverage of Britain's violations of international law, war crimes and human rights abuses, both at home and abroad. Britain's hereditary monarchy has also been pressuring Press TV to keep silent on its expenditures and undemocratic nature, while millions of Britons are grappling with an economic crisis not seen in decades. The royal family has even sent a message to Press TV asking the channel not to criticize it. Britain's mainstream media have also stepped up the smear campaign against Press TV, openly calling on Downing Street to take the channel off air. Ofcom's decision raises serious questions about freedom of speech in Britain and the attempts to gag the media, whose policies are not necessarily in line with those of the British government and the royal family.
Well, as that report indicated, serious questions do arise from this. Let me introduce our guest. Former British MP George Galloway joins us from London. We have author and Middle East affairs expert Saab Shah joining us from Belfast. We also invited Ofcom's Director of Standards or any other representative to attend this program to defend their decision, but they refused to appear. Let me welcome our guests. I'd like to go to you first, George Galloway, but before that, let's listen to what Ofcom has said upon the invitation to engage themselves in the news analysis.
On this occasion, I am going to decline the offer. I am also afraid that there are no other Ofcom colleagues who are available to appear on the program. As you will know, we have set out clearly the reasoning behind the sanction.
George Galloway, how would you describe that statement and Ofcom's refusal to appear on this very live talk show to defend their decision?
Well, it's a great pity that a publicly funded organisation is not prepared to explain to the public and have that explanation questioned by journalists and by critics like me, the reasoning behind this savage attack on what used to be one of the jewels in the crown of British society, namely our relative freedom of speech compared with many other countries. It doesn't come as a surprise to me, though, because I was present at the hearing with Ofcom, and I could see, and they could see that I could see, just how flimsy, indeed ridiculous, the charge against Press TV actually was. As you in your package have just shown, the 10-second soundbite included in a news broadcast by Press TV of Mr. Behari contained words that he went on to repeat exactly in dozens of other interviews, both in print and on other media. The offence of which Press TV was charged was invented by Ofcom. It literally didn't exist before they invented it, and they changed their own rules to deal with the unfortunate fact that the time period in which complaints can be laid with Ofcom had long expired when Mr. Behari, for one reason or another, was persuaded or persuaded himself to make the complaint. So I said at the Ofcom hearing that it was a big mistake for the Iranians present to imagine that there was any real point in appearing in front of Ofcom, because this decision, I believed, had already been made, and was made by the very British government, which has been involved in parallel in stepping up the aggression, the hostility, the ostracism of Iran in its overall foreign policy. In the British way of things, Ofcom is held to be an independent organisation, but it's actually not independent at all. And all they were doing in this regard was carrying out a diktat from the British Foreign Office, which had earlier been revealed, as you said, in the WikiLeaks cable, in an interview given by an unnamed senior Foreign Office official with Rupert Murdoch's Sunday Times, and they will not rest until they have tried to take at least Press TV off the Sky platform in Britain. Even though on that platform you'll find rabid right-wing television stations like Fox News, which is controlled from the United States, not from England, and where the most rabid right-wing propaganda masquerades as news. You can have a sex channel, indeed you can have dozens of sex channels on the Sky platform. You can have gay sex channels, you can have interactive sex channels, but you can't have a small news station that challenges the prevailing orthodoxy. That's the reality of British liberty and freedom nowadays.
Well, it sounds like you've answered so many questions that I had, George Galloway. Thank you so much for that in-depth look. But let me turn to Saab Shath. Well, Saab Shath, let's take one of the things that George Galloway said there, of many. Maybe you can help us understand why it took Ofcom, for example, 2 years to disclose their complaint and subsequent fine after contradictory statements.
This is to start with state sponsorship, and this is intellectual terrorism in its full glory. And the way they are conducting themselves to try to eliminate what appeared to them as Press TV is undercutting the major corporate media from their propaganda and providing the public in the West, especially right now. Press TV have millions who follow it and appreciate the news which is providing, which is goes deeper behind and analyze to them what's really going inside their countries, away from the lies provided by BBC and the CNN and their arm Al Jazeera in the Middle East. And from here I can just wonder, when the strike of the public sector was last week in Britain, and when live on BBC somebody like Jeremy Clark called for execution of the public strikers in front of their families, and then he apologized and said he was joking. Where is the conduct of the BBC here and abiding with Ofcom? Or on the other hand as well, I want to say when they were broadcasting live the lynching of Gaddafi, who was a prisoner of war, and showed for days, not even seconds, days and weeks to come as well, what was abusing of a prisoner of war and lynching and killing of him live, graphic, to all the people of the world. That was conducted by the BBC, by Al Jazeera, by the CNN, by Fox, all of them. I wonder, where is Ofcom from all of that? This is double standards, and I see it's a way of they trying to adhere using this 10 seconds, which was repeated by the same guy again and again against Breast TV, just to demonize Breast TV, just to stop to try to silence Breast TV. And since Breast TV, as I said, is successful and loved especially by activists and politically aware segments of society, since they understand the service this Breast TV lately providing and exploring the issues and providing alternative point of view, countering the propaganda.
Right. George Galloway, when we talk about alternative point of view, I mean, you have said many times in your program, the voice of the voiceless. But is it really alternative when we look at what Press TV has done, when we look at the way that news has been highlighted on Press TV? Is it the mere fact that certain things are highlighted more in terms of, for example, British foreign policy and its failure, or when it comes up maybe to the United States, due to the fact that they have dug so deep and highlighted those more, one thing that has perhaps perturbed the British government and in turn this regulatory body by the name of Ofcom?
Yes, I think your other guest is correct in what he implied, namely that if no one was watching us, if no one was paying any attention or being informed and educated by our perspective on the news, then they wouldn't be bothering. But the crescendo of aggression in the media from all the usual sources, just this Sunday in the pro-Iraq War Observer, one of the leaders of the intellectual campaign for the Iraq War, a man called Nick Cohen, a kind of raving, bigoted Zionist, was writing an article saying, "Who will rid us of Press TV?" Harry's Place, another neocon, raving Zionist website, was doing the same thing this morning. They wouldn't be bothering if no one was watching. It's the fact that Press TV's audience has steadily gained and its influence steadily spread in Britain and around the world, which has gotten under their skin. They want, when they pick on a subject or a country, to have a punch bag that they can mercilessly beat and which can't fight back. But you see, every television station has a perspective, a lens through which it views events. Does anyone really claim that Fox News, which has an Ofcom license, is controlled from the United States? It's not a British station at all. Does anybody really claim that Fox News does not have its own particular perspective on the news? What kind of freedom is it in a free country that allows Fox News, owned by Mr. Murdoch, now on trial in front of various fora for all sorts of wrongdoing? Mr. Murdoch is regarded as a fit and proper person by Ofcom to operate a television station in Britain, but Press TV is somehow a target to be silenced. And that's the reason, because we're getting under their skin, because more and more people are rejecting the prevailing orthodoxy spewed out by the other channels and turning more and more to us for the truth and to provide that voice for the otherwise voiceless.
George Galloway mentions Saab Shah getting under their skin. Let's review a little bit about how much we've gone under their skin. During the time of the recent student protests in Britain, and of course the royal wedding, Press TV actually was contacted by the British royal family and was asked to tone down its coverage and its criticism. Well, this begs many questions, but first off, if Press TV had complied, would it mean that Ofcom would have laid off Press TV in terms of how it's pursuing it?
It's a point, but I don't think so. I said myself in this issue a couple of months ago, where the Occupy movement in England and the United Kingdom as a whole and Ireland were preparing itself to take a stage. There will be a pressure applied on Press TV, since Press TV is the favorite platform for the activists and for working class and for people who are seeking democracy and justice worldwide. They turn to Press TV to find the truth. And we seen that in the Occupy movement of Wall Street, the respect Press TV had there. And everybody was cursing Fox News and the other media provider who's providing propaganda. So they tried since that and the riots, which was covered properly in Press TV, and the student marches were ignored totally by like they are not taking place in the UK. When Press TV covered that, they were shaking. They don't want this kind of information to come out to the public. And we noticed the massive coverage. They try to direct their own point of view in the public strike, workers' strike taken a week ago. So they are not going to stop. And since as well they understand the point of view of the people in the Middle East and in Iran and in Pakistan and in Afghanistan as well, can reach to the worldwide and show the other side of the war as being conducted on Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Libya, and other sides of the Middle East, and the preparation for the other wars they try to start in the Middle East. That will let them and push them to try to silence an international platform for alternative point of view, which is the people are understanding, and the people see it serve them right to understand the other side and to try to stop the corporate and the elite of dictating to them.
Well, that's like silencing our free media here. But George Galloway, I mean, I don't know, maybe legally you can tell us how this is going to stand when they, as you mentioned, they aired on BBC Channel 4 that 10-second soundbite from Mazhar Bahari, the Newsweek reporter, and also Ofcom's actions to remove Press TV off the Sky platform when they said administrative errors in its application for a license back in 2007, of which then it resulted in a fine. I mean, does this hold up legally, which it doesn't sound like it should, but then isn't that going to damage the credibility of at least this organization?
Well, I think it's terribly damaging to Britain. It's much more damaging to Britain than it is to Iran. It's Britain, after all, that goes around the world invading other people's countries in the name of liberty and freedom, included in which is the usual ritual denunciation of the lack of freedom and freedom of expression in the countries that are being targeted by the British. Yet here they are, exposing themselves as hypocrites. Now, I knew they were hypocrites, but not everyone in the world knew that they were hypocrites, and they're busily proving to everyone that they are hypocrites. I don't believe that legally it does stand up. It's not my decision, of course. I'm merely a presenter of a couple of programs on Press TV. I'm not consulted about its policy or its actions. But if it were up to me, I would apply to the High Court for a judicial review of the bias, the discrimination, which is being demonstrated here. And I believe there would be a high level of possibility of success in such a legal action. It would certainly stop this juggernaut in its tracks for a considerable period of time. But I think you cannot separate this. You made the points about the royal family. I know nothing about that, and I certainly can't vouch for it. What I can vouch for is that the Israel lobby has unremittingly attempted to penalize, criminalize, and ultimately silence Press TV in Britain and around the world. I know that because my programs and others have been the victims of that. And they are the driving force, I believe, in this, the engine in this, as they are the main engine in the overall attack against Iran, which may have some way to go. So I think we should stand and fight. I think the viewers want us to stand and fight. But if, in the last analysis, we're taken off the Sky platform and we can't share that space with all the sex channels and all the other garbage that spew out of that Sky platform, well, people will watch us by other means, on other platforms. They will not close us down. They will not silence Press TV.
Right. And George Galloway, I should mention, needless to say, which you do in your programs, that the comments that you do give is pretty much independent to yourself, and those are the views that you express. Yes. So, on that note, you said something about Israel, and I'd like to turn to you, Saab Shath. Do you think Ofcom's think tank, some of whom used to work for the state-funded BBC, which is a tool for the British government policies, and are well connected to the royal family, and also stand for Israel in terms of how the views are regarding Palestine, have anything to do with its scrutiny on Press TV?
I said that as well in the war in Gaza and the coverage of Press TV, especially in the criminal Zionist war in Gaza, is changed the scene for them kind of propaganda media outlets which used to dominate the air. And from there we can notice the Palestinian cause, and especially Gaza and the siege of Gaza, gained a great momentum. And with as help with Mr. Galloway as well lended massive help to that. And from there they seen the influence Press TV provided to the cause of Palestine to be heard really for the first time justly from a media like Press TV. That annoyed very much the Zionist lobbies in the UK and the USA, and they tried their best from there to counter that and to try to sabotage even the networks of supporters for Palestine by infiltrating them, by discriminating against all the people who is involved in that, and by trying to tarnish even Press TV at some stage. But they didn't succeed, and the momentum grew from there in supporting Palestine massively. Now Palestine, as I mentioned once before, about some sort of media poll was conducted during the call for recognition of Palestine in the United Nations. They found around 72% in the UK population are for the UK government to support the recognition of Palestine. And I said, did the government, the UK government, heeded that call from the public? They didn't, of course, which proved there is no democracy applied in here. So they tried, and they're trying very hard to stop Press TV because it's part of enlightenment in here to the masses, and in empowering them in defending the just cause of Palestine.
Okay, we're going to have to end it there. Thank you very much, author and Middle East affairs expert Saab Shath there. And we also want to thank former British MP George Galloway. Thank you very much. You can catch his programs, The Comments and The Real Deal on Press TV. And we did ask again Ofcom's Director of Standards, invitation to Press TV's news analysis tonight to join us, or any other representative, but they did not want to attend their program and defend their decision. Well, thank you, the viewer, for watching another edition of the Press TV News Analysis. Any questions or comments, newsroom at presstv.ir, do send them. I'm Kavit Halfway from the entire team in Tehran. It's goodbye.